finger to do so good. Just letting you know. I got it. That's why I made a cheat sheet, because I knew I was going to do it. All right, everybody. I hereby call to order the first meeting of the 62nd session on May 1st, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. So first things first, there are a few senators that didn't get sworn in during the inauguration, and I will require those individuals to come up front to get sworn in before we can do the official meeting. So if that qualifies for you, please come up. In case you forget what I say.
Thank you.
All right, so raise right hand and repeat after me. I hereby swear
I hereby swear
that I will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University,
that I will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University,
act in accordance with the Student Government Association Constitution,
act in accordance with the Student Government Association Constitution,
and fulfill all duties and responsibilities
and fulfill all duties and responsibilities
required of the office of Student Senator of the Student Government Association.
required of the office of Student Senator of the Student Government Association.
Excuse me. I will, to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the Student Government Association of Wichita State University.
the Constitution of the Student Government Association of Wichita State University.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
With that, we can officially take roll call. If I call your name, please answer with either present or here. Senator Al-Zidlani? Senator Babin?
Present.
Senator Bradley? Present. Senator Brown? Senator Castillo? Here. I know I messed it up. Senator Coates? Here. Senator Gibson?
Here.
Senator Giunta? Here. Senator Hopper? Here. Kehinde is excused. Senator Khan?
Here.
Senator Madden?
Here.
Senator Mai?
Here.
Senator Martin?
Here.
Speak into the mic.
Here.
Senator Madsen's excused. Senator Miller?
Here.
Senator Morgan?
Here.
Senator Navarro? Fat finger. Senator Reed? Senator Ritchie? Here. Senator Sanchez?
Present.
Senator Tubak?
Here.
Senator Webb?
Here.
Senator Wright is excused. Senator Yowell?
Present.
And Senator Zacharias.
Here.
All right. Total in attendance is 19. Simple majority will be 10. Two-thirds majority will be 13, and two-thirds of entire Senate will be 18. As there are no minutes, as this is our first meeting, we'll be moving past section 3 into Section 4, public forum. Is that? What? Yeah. So just as a reminder, anyone wishing to speak will have 3 minutes unless they have gotten prior consent with myself prior to this meeting. At this time, is there anyone wishing to speak in public forum? Seeing none, we'll move into officer reports.
I move to add SB 62009 to the agenda.
Second.
Beat me to it. Thank you. Yeah. Do you need it?
Can you finish typing that? Will I do my report? Is that,
Yes.
do you need to, you good?
It's your time to do your report.
Okay, sorry. First off, sorry that it's a little rough. This is our first time, so if you could just bear with us, that would be great. We're all gonna learn this. It'll be fine. Okay, but for my report,
Katrina, you guys need to vote on adding that bill to the agenda.
Okay.
It was only seconded. It has to be debated and voted on.
There you go. So all those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries with unanimous consent. Now moving into Section 5, Officer Reports. Chair recognizes President Katrina Miller for the reading of their report.
okay, so now, first thing, Michael Shelby Rowell, previous SGA president and previous vice president and now Senator Matt Madden, will be going to Higher Ed Day 2.0 tomorrow in Topeka. We will be leaving this evening right afterwards. And then mostly what I've been doing are just interviews for senator position and cabinet positions. As you all know, we have 9 appointments tonight. And then I've mostly just been transitioning into this position, and on April 18th, I went to Leadership Kansas, and I was actually able to meet with the student body presidents from Emporia, K-State, and KU. So.
Are there any questions on the President's report? Senator Sanchez.
When is the due date for senator applications? Any open seats?
So for senators, we are keeping them rolling applications. So if you know of anybody who wants to apply, they can still apply. As for cabinet, we have 2 positions open still. We are accepting applications, but as of right now, we're not advertising those. We will start advertising those 2 positions here shortly, though.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move into the Vice President's report. So with that, we had, as previously mentioned, there's interviews for Senate and Cabinet throughout the last few weeks. We did start conducting and almost finish inventory and physical restructuring of the Senate suite itself. If you haven't been in there, please stop by and give us some feedback. But in that, we identified several areas in which we could correct. Other than that, just transitioning into the new position, studying up on new rules, regulations, such like that. And then we will be attending the Higher Ed Day. Any questions on Vice President's report? Seeing none, Chair recognizes Treasurer Stella Yang for the reading of her report.
Hey everyone, so just as an explanation, I'm the treasurer for the 61st session, but my transition period is a little bit longer, so that's kind of why I'm sitting up here tonight giving you all an officer report. So two things for tonight. The first is the Dreamer Scholarship is still a thing this year. The Dreamer Scholarship is, I think, eligible for anyone, but our focus is on undocumented students. This is a scholarship that was started last year with Sigma Lambda Beta, and SGA and Sigma Lambda Beta donate funds towards it. So we're working on getting the marketing out and the interview questions ready for this again. I know that it is very late in the year, but last year we had plenty of applicants, and on top of that we also had interviews during the summer, I believe. So I know that sounds like a little bit strange, but we work with people's schedules, so don't worry about getting that out. What I would ask from all of you, if you would like, is if you have any questions that you would like to ask the applicants, or any interview questions, or anything you'd like to see on the application in particular, then feel free to email sgatreasurer@wichita.edu, or come visit me in the office so that I can make sure that we take your question into consideration for if we want to ask the applicants that. So the second thing is, the first funding bill of this session is on the floor tonight, and I'll explain a little bit more about it when it comes up, but that funding bill does require that we have a summer budget and finance committee. I would love to have at minimum 3 senators join this committee. It's very, very little time commitment. Basically what would happen is maybe 2 to 3 times throughout the summer, the treasurer will send an email to all of you and say, hey, there are 3 people that are requesting funding from SGA to go to a conference. Give me your thoughts, give me your recommendations for amounts, and then we would all vote on that. So really, it would only take a maximum of an hour throughout the entire summer to read through a few applications and to vote on it. And it's can be done all through email, so you don't have to be in Wichita or anything like that. You can be literally anywhere as long as you have Wi-Fi a little bit. So other than that, I will explain more about what the bill does in the funding bill, but after we're done with everything and we're doing remarks and announcements, I'll probably remind you again of the Summer Budget Finance Committee, and then if you could approach like us up here afterwards so I can get your email and information down, that would be great. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the treasurer's report? Senator Madden?
Did we ever decide on a procedure for like how the summer budget and finance committees are selected?
Yeah, so when that was voted on a few weeks ago, I think we discussed it already, Matt, but basically there's nothing in the journal that ties it to an official committee or anything like that. The only part in the journal that it references Summer Budget and Finance Committee is in that specific statute, so we don't need to do any special appointments or anything like that. I think for this first year, I think it would be fine if it was just on a volunteer basis.
Are there any other questions for the treasurer's report?
Yeah, you had mentioned that people could apply for funding for conferences, and you said wherever. Are there any stipulations to what is a conference and who can apply for that?
Yeah, so in the journal, statute 27 outlines like kind of sort of what individuals would need to apply for this, but academic conferences are pretty straightforward whenever people do end up applying. It's a lot of PhD candidates or sometimes like master's students or even undergrads. They have like a research paper or something like that, and they submit it to a specialized conference that deals with that sort of research, and then they present their research at that conference. So typically it means that their paper and stuff like that has to be accepted.
Okay, is there any particular field of research?
Thank you. Just as a reminder, for follow-up questions, you will have to ask permission for. But if there are no other questions, we will see this.
I do not have a follow-up question.
Well, it's fine. I can answer that question, but just in the future, for everyone, whenever you're asking a second question, just make sure to say follow-up, and then they'll look for other questions, and then we'll go back to the follow-up. But for those academic conferences, there's no specific major, there's no specific field that we're looking for. We've had a variety of applications coming from liberal arts and sciences or engineering, but It's just whatever application rolls in first is the one that we'll be reading throughout the summer.
Any other questions for the treasurer's report? Seeing none, we will move past section 6, other reports, straight into section 7, appointments. That item A, SB-62-001, appointing the position of at-large senator. Does the author wish to speak at this time?
Okay, so during Lauren's interview, I was extremely impressed by her work ethic. I think that would be a really good quality to have within Student Government Association. She discussed her previous internship she had at the Capitol and how that experience really inspired her to become a senator, and how she wants to advocate on behalf of her constituents. And I really think that she would be a great asset to Student Government Association.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
Okay, so like Katrina said, I'm Lauren Peterson. She pretty much explained all about what I've kind of the reason why I've chosen to be a senator. I'm not really involved right now in WSU, and I really wanted to look for something that I can put a lot of my efforts into. I'm from a small town in Baldwin, just 10 minutes south of Lawrence, but outside of what she said about mostly what got me here, I work for my parents, or I have been pretty much my entire life. They own a small motorcycle dealership, so that's kind of what I like to do in my extracurricular time. But other than that, I want to focus the majority of my time on representing students like me, students at work pretty much full-time, and putting themselves through college. So I'm hoping that that will embody an at-large member. Do I ask for questions? Okay.
Does the nominee wish to take questions?
I'm open to questions.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Seeing none. Thank you. We'll move into debate on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? SB-62-001 passes by majority consent of the Senate. Moving into item B, SB-62-002, appointing the position of at-large senator. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So I have had the pleasure of getting to know Grant Day through a social work class this past year, and he is extremely kind and has the knowledge and ability to advocate for students through his major as a social worker. And I think the skills that he's learned through his social work classes and other classes that he has taken, his advocacy skills would be really great for SGA.
Does the nominee wish to speak at this time? Come on up.
Thank you. Hello, as mentioned, my name is Grant Day, and also as mentioned, I'm a major in social work. I'm a sophomore. I have a very strong interest in people and helping people, And I think my skills in terms of being interested in people and wanting to know their problems and wanting to help them are very helpful, or would be very helpful for my, if I am appointed as an SGA senator at large. I am autistic, which is, and it's something that has affected my everyday life since I was 3 when I was diagnosed. I have had numerous trials in my life that I'm not really going to get into because I don't want to make this like a sad story, but basically I was, not too long ago, it would be surprising for me to even be in the at a 4-year university, and now I am, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And I think it's very important for students to become involved, and much of my platform is to make students involved and to change the student culture, because a relatively small number of students actually voted in the last SGA election, like I think 16%, and that needs to change. And I also want to make students feel represented, and I want more student input in SGA decisions. I think that is very important, and to make WSU accessible to everyone. So I'd like to thank all the members of SGA for considering me, and thank you for your time.
Does the nominee wish to take questions?
Yes, please.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Zacharias?
I think it's admirable that you wish to change the campus culture, especially around voting. However, how do you wish to do that, especially when there's big matters such as the referendum that impacted everyone, and we still only had 21% voter turnout?
Well, I think it goes beyond just the voting process. I think that there's a broad cultural issue in regards to involvement on campus. I think a lot of students are not even aware of what the SGA really does beyond raise their fees. So I think spreading knowledge of the SGA's skills would be very important, and I think that yeah. Yes, please.
Senator Morgan?
How do you plan on spreading the spreading SGA's name around campus?
Well, I think it's very, first of all, I don't think the SGA senators really present themselves that much to students. Like, I rarely see like an SGA senator like give a presentation in front of a class, which I think would be a very helpful skill to have in order to keep students updated on what's happening. I think it would also be helpful for SGA senators to table at the RSC, because that's where a lot of the students congregate. So there are a variety of specific steps that can be taken to help the SGA members interact with the public more, because I want the public to not only be informed about what's happening, but actually have some input in the decisions being made by us.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you. You may have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
This time we'll move into the debating period. Is there anyone wishing to debate on this bill? Senator Zacharias?
I will be speaking in favor of this bill. I feel that Grant spoke admirably in wanting to help advertise SGA. A lot of the things he mentioned we do, but there are a limited number of us, and we all have busy schedules, so I feel like he'll be a great addition to making those processes heard.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor? All against? SB-62-002 passes with majority consent. Moving into item C, SB-62-003, appointing the position of at-large senator. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So Aaron, as many of you know, has senator experience, and in this past session, he did a lot of great work. So I would love to see him come back and do even more great work this session.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
sure the good majority of you already know who I am, but just to kind of go over, I'm a double major in both Spanish and International Studies. I served in the last session since October, I believe. And I have authored at least one piece of legislation, and I am really, really excited to come back and see what I can do this session. I plan on hopefully getting the Inspire program back up and running to its full potential. Also, and wanting to increase voter turnout and work with undecided majors to try to help them decide on what majors they should go into. That way, they don't have to feel like they have to choose a major and graduate unhappy. So those are kind of my plans for this year, and I yield my time to the floor.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Ritchie.
For those of us who aren't aware, can you explain the Inspire dinner?
So the Inspire Dinner was a program I believe started under Joseph Shepard. And it is it's actually a program where specifically the Diversity Task Force Committee goes out and talks to high school and middle school students around the Wichita area and try to kind of give them an idea of like, it's specifically for underserved students to try to encourage them to go to college, and that, maybe just because of their situation doesn't necessarily mean that they can't go to college or anything like that. So it is something that's been it's not really like, there's no really set goals for it. And so under each administration and under each chair, for Diversity Task Force, the program has kind of changed. And so my goal is to try to kind of like solidify that.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the nominee may either stay or leave for debate. Moving into the debate period, is there anyone wishing to debate? Senator Khan.
I will be voting in favor because I have worked with Senator Mounts last session, and we have written the legislation together, and I've seen how much work he puts in and how much he cares. So I would encourage all of you to vote yes to this, or to his nomination today. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Senator Madden.
So last session, Senator Mounts co-authored a resolution with Senator Khan that was in solidarity with the victims of the Christchurch shooting. Today, I was made aware that the Prime Minister of New Zealand actually got back to us, and it was because of the resolution that those two authored. So those two are the only ones in the room who can say that they've written a resolution that actually made it to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and that combined with Senator Mount's excellent work ethic, and that combined with Senator Mount's excellent senator recruiting efforts that he's done in the 61st session, I think that definitely proves his worth as a senator, and he certainly has a place in the 62nd session. I'll be voting in favor.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor? All opposed? SB-62-003 passes with majority consent. Moving into item D, SB-62-004, appointing the position of out-of-state senator. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So I sadly was not able to sit in on the interview with Michael, but Vice President Berth actually interviewed him, and so I'll just read what Vice President Berth wrote, and just seeing Michael's previous work with the Elections Commission, I agree with what Vice President Berth wrote. I think that he would be a really great asset for student government. Michael illustrated that he saw out-of-state students as one of a few groups that at times seem to have been less involved around campus. He has demonstrated great initiative in not only stepping up and devising ways in which to tackle this, but to seek out a position where he can connect those affected, those who might be unaware, and those who can help, both in and out of student government.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
Hello, my name is Michael Brown. I'm a junior, majoring in communications, and I want to be out-of-state senator because I'm from Miami, Florida. I transferred from FAMU last semester, fall semester, and as I've came to this school, I've realized that being out of state is not easy. Like, you don't know anybody, but being in this position, I want to make sure that all out-of-state students are comfortable and aware of SGA, as well as the things that are happening on campus, like programs, activities, and things like that. So, and being a first-time senator, I want to learn from everyone in the Senate about how to write legislation, how to make changes, as well as like how to adapt to situations. So I feel that this position will be a learning experience for me, as well as a growing experience for me as well. And I want to make sure that all out-of-state students are comfortable at this school. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Khan?
So are you involved in anything like other than kind of the Elections Commission currently on campus?
Okay. I'm a member of Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I am a member of Black Student Union. I also interned with KMUW Public Radio, and that's about it.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the nominee may either stay or leave for debate. Moving into debate, is there anyone wishing to debate on this bill? Senator Khan?
First of all, I'd like to clarify, I'm only picking it up because I don't know if you can see me, because I can't see you. Anyway, I'll be voting in favor because I have had many conversations with Michael Brown, and I have seen how much work he has put into the Election Commission and how he carries himself around campus. And based off of all of that, I would encourage all of you to vote in favor of his appointment today.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor? All opposed? SB-62-004 passes with majority consent. Moving in to item E. E. SB-62-005, appointing the position of out-of-state senator. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So Anna Grace has shown enthusiasm for Student Government Association in the previous session and hopes to continue her work with the tobacco policy, which personally I think is a great piece of work. It's been really beneficial for campus. And then Anna Grace has an energy that truly brings SGA to life.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
Hi. Most of you probably know me. I mean, I was elected and inaugurated into the 62nd session already, but I was only in it for 3 hours and then I changed my major. So I reapplied to meet the criteria for my new major. I served last session, part of Safety and Student Services Committee, and I was on the Student Fees Committee. I'm sponsoring some of the ledge that's going up tonight. And I don't know, that's about it.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Khan?
Why did you switch majors?
I was a music major. I'm a music minor still, but I am not the most, I'm an outgoing person. You guys can tell this. But I'm not the greatest performer, and it was something that, anxiety-wise, I couldn't handle. So I decided to take better care of, my health and, not put myself through that. And so I changed it to political science with a music minor.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Senator Sanchez?
What makes you passionate about student government that you decided to come back for this session as well?
Well, what I say when people ask, why I'm in it, is, why wouldn't you want to be involved in the decisions that are ultimately going to affect you? And I mean, I want to be out of state. There's I'm from Oklahoma City, so it's not too far, but it's a big change, and I feel like I could represent that group. And I guess I'm just passionate because I talk to a lot of people, but now I can talk here for those people. And yeah, that's not a good answer, but.
Are there any other questions for them? Senator Khan?
So how is your work and experience from the 61st session going to translate into the 62nd session?
So in the 61st session, we started working on all the tobacco stuff. I didn't write the ledge for it, but I kind of spearheaded the initiative. I set up the meetings and everything. And so that ledge is going up tonight. And I know Crystal and I had talked about maybe doing some version of an ad hoc committee for that initiative, and I would love to chair that and just continue working on that specifically, the tobacco-free campus policy. But I don't know. I have a lot of things that I know people are working on that I'd love to help with, even if I don't necessarily come up with them.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the nominee may either stay or leave for debate. Moving into debate, is there anyone wishing to debate on this?
With a motion to amend in the last line, tobacco is spelled wrong, Tobacco.
Yes, you may fix it right now. That's a grammatical one, so it can be fixed right now, yes. Senator Zacharias.
I also have a motion. We did not write the tobacco policy, so writing legislation such as the tobacco policy should not be there.
Thank you. Any other grammatical errors you can bring up to us after the fact, and we'll fix those on the spot. With that, I would take a reminder for decorum. This is a professional setting. With that, anyone else wishing to debate on this item at this time? Senator Khan.
I'd like to say I was in the 61st session with Anna Grace, and she is very passionate about SGA, and I'm going to vote in favor for her appointment today, and I would suggest you do the same.
Is there anyone else wishing to debate at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor? All opposed? SB-62-005 passes with majority consent. Moving into item F, SB-62-006, appointing the position of underserved senator. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So as a first-generation student, I'm excited to see the initiatives Marie has in store for first-generation students. Not only this, but Marie's experience with the debate team also makes her an excellent addition, being able to speak up for those underrepresented students. So.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
Hi, my name is Marie Flores. I go by Ellie, though. I'm a double major in women's studies and political science. I would like to be the underserved senator just because I feel like there's no one else in there to represent those constituents who might have needs that are looked over. I'm part of the debate team at Wichita State, and so I have lots of experience with analyzing policy and creating just different ways to critically think about things. And as the underserved senator, I would like to create different ways to reach out to students who are underserved, to get them to be more involved and to make them more aware of opportunities that they have available to them.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Ritchie.
When you say students who are underserved, can you give us a better idea of what you have in mind, what you mean?
Yeah. So I'm taking into consideration different racial demographics that are underserved. For example, I'm Latina. I would also like to represent first-generation students as well, which I also am, and just to create better ways for the students who may not have the ability to, the background to have knowledge of different ways to navigate the college system that other people do have.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Senator Miller.
What do you think a good way to reach out to them would be, and what would you do if you were a senator, and how would you reach out to them?
I would try to reach out through creating different incentives to attend different things and trying to find alternative ways to reach out to them, because a lot of underserved students don't have the ability to, not the ability, but rather don't think about how different things may be necessary for them. And so trying to create more dialogue about it and trying to create better incentives to attend things like how to fill out your FAFSA and different things like that, and creating incentives like maybe free food at things to encourage people to come and be more involved. And I think that would increase the success rate of these underserved students.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the nominee may either stay or leave for debate. Moving into debate, is there anyone wishing to speak in debate at this time? Senator Khan.
Well, I have known Marie for a while, and I like to point out she is a very good person, and she also knows how to handle situations very professionally. Also, I have never had the privilege to debate against her in high school, but I can tell you she has been one of the top debaters. And so knowing of her and being friends with her, I would encourage that all of you vote in favor of her appointment today.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor? All opposed? SB-62-006 passes with majority consent. Moving into item G, SB-62-007, appointing the position of treasurer. Does the author wish to speak?
So I selected Dylan for the position of treasurer because he has an immense amount of knowledge and experience with similar positions like the treasurer position, setting him up for success. Dylan was passionate about the initiative he proposed in his interview, and I saw that passion in other areas that he would be working with as treasurer also.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
Hello, yes, I'm Dylan Jensen. I'd like to be selected as treasurer for the Student Government Association. I believe that I have an appropriate amount of applicable experience as financial director of Bard International Group. I want to be selected mostly because I feel like it's a position that I could really thrive in. I feel that I'm understanding of individuals' needs, and I also enjoy working with numbers and feel that I can communicate effectively in said position. Thank you.
Does the nominee wish to take questions?
Oh, yes.
Are there? Senator Madden?
How much experience do you have with the student government student fees process?
Very little.
Senator Zacharias?
I see that you included your current class semester schedule and that you have conflicts with this. Since this is the only meeting this semester, how does your next semester classes look?
It is yet to be determined, but it will be free for this meeting.
Senator Coates?
Would your work as a financial director for the Barton International Group impede on, if you're selected, your work as treasurer?
I don't believe so, no.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Senator Mai?
How will you go about creating more scholarship opportunities?
That's a good question. I mean, as far as creating more funding for scholarship opportunities, I mean, the automatic instinct is it's either taking funds from other parts or raising tuition. Those are really the only two options, right? Am I wrong on that? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for that.
For reference, the treasurer doesn't create scholarships. That's the responsibility of the Senate. All of our scholarships that we have either been initiatives that senators have put forward or that have been started by donors who have given money from the foundation that have given it to SGA. So even the scholarships we have as an association were all created before us, or were created by initiatives from the Senate, not by the responsibilities of the treasurer. And scholarships don't fall under the responsibility of the treasurer. They fall under the responsibility of our director of public relations. So just for reference.
Senator Mattson?
I noticed that in your application you mentioned raising awareness for the scholarships that we do offer. Could you speak a little bit more on that line of your application, how you'd like to do that?
Yes, of course. Ultimately, I'd just like to get involved and let people, make people more aware of the processes involved in getting the scholarships, letting them know that there is, great potential and it can really improve upon people's lives.
Senator Khan, you still have a question?
So my question is, you will be taking classes and you will be working with the Barton International Group, correct?
Yes.
So how will you balance that out as a treasurer at SGA if you do get elected or appointed? How will you balance all of those things out with this position? Because this position requires a lot of time and hours to be fulfilled.
Those are really my only two other, not that those don't take up a considerable amount of time, but those are my only two other things going on, and I believe that I can do that effectively. How I'm going to go about doing it, morning classes, evening work, and Saturday and Sunday, big.
Senator Zacharias?
So being treasurer is a full-time job. Do you plan on having any other jobs on top of that, or will this be your sole job commitment?
Sole job commitment.
Senator Madden?
How familiar are you with the individual funding, like the funding statutes in the journal?
Not at all.
Are there any other questions? Senator Morgan?
Were you involved in the student fees committee this year?
No.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Senator Khan?
So just to be clear, if you do get appointed, this will be your first time in SGA?
Yes.
Any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the nominee may either leave or stay for debate. Moving into debate, is there anyone wishing to debate at this time? Senator Madden?
So, Senators, I definitely want to hear your opinions on this nomination. I'm a little bit torn. On one hand, I see that this nominee has a lot of experience in Barton International Group and seems very qualified as like a business financial person. This person also seems to be very direct, which I appreciate. And I was initially concerned about the individual's class schedule based off of what was in the application, but since it's only for this semester, that'll actually be fine and it's not an issue at all. So I have no doubts about this individual's ability to time commit to this. However, where my doubts do lie is the individual's lack of experience in the association. While I don't want to discredit the ability of this person to be able to learn over time, at the same time, the treasurer is one of the core three executive officers of the association. They're in charge of the association's budget and therefore of students' fees and money. And especially the student fees process, I think it's really critical that the student fees process runs well, and it's important that we have a good chair who's familiar with the student fees process if possible, so that way they kind of know what they're getting into to begin with, and that they can lead that process with experience when we're going to have a lot of people in that process who don't have experience and are going to look to the chair for guidance. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be voting in favor or against. I definitely want to hear your thoughts.
Senator Webb?
So I've known the nominee. We went to high school together. We actually did our senior engineering project together, and he was a joy to work with, very congenial, hard worker. I don't see any issues with time conflicts, as there are several other people within SGA that are involved in a lot more and balance it just fine. I also don't see any issues with his newness to the organization, as there are countless other people who have been in here before, taken executive offices, that have had no prior experience at all with SGA. So I don't think, while I see why that could be a concern, I don't think that it's something that would prevent me from voting against it. So I have the utmost confidence in the nominee, especially with his prior experience in Barton International Group. And if I'm not mistaken, Treasurer Yang has been speaking with, or trying to kind of reconfigure the student fees group to see who exactly will be chair. So there's a possibility that the treasurer will not be chair of the student fees group next year. So all in all, I will be voting in favor of this nominee, and I don't see any reason not to. Thanks.
Senator Wright?
I think one of the great things about the treasurer position in our student government is it has a very long transition period. It's far longer than any of the other executive positions. And so while I understand some of the concerns about transitioning somebody who's never been in student government, I also think that because of the extremely long transition period, the most important thing in this job is dedication and enthusiasm, and I think the current nominee has those in spades, and so I will be voting in favor of this nomination.
Senator Martin?
Acknowledging my own biases and with the advantage of knowing all the people who applied to this position, I firmly believe in the business of selecting the best people to represent the association, that Ethan Balzer was the natural choice for this position, and I will hold to that to the end for his diligent service and enthusiastic service to the association throughout last year. So I'll be voting against this bill.
Senator Mattson?
Thank you. I would like to speak in favor of the nominee. I have experience working with Dylan through Barton International Group, and he became finance director when I was executive vice president, so I got to oversee his work. I can attest to his commitment and to his dedication to organization and making sure that finances are in order. He's truly a transformative individual for our organization, and I have no doubt that he will bring that same level of energy to serving the student body. I also believe that one thing that we haven't mentioned are not just his hard skills in finances, but also soft skills, which are important too. As we've seen, he is direct and he is straightforward. He's also very good at having conversations that can be difficult. As we know, money can be a difficult topic when people do apply for funding, and I think he would be able to navigate those well. So that is why I'll be voting in favor of this nomination. Thank you.
Senator Khan.
Thank you. I will not be voting in favor of this nomination today. Again, I second Senator Martin's sentiments and Senator Madden's sentiments. And I don't doubt any of his abilities to, the nominee's abilities to do or execute any of those things poorly. I believe that person would do a good job. But knowing how many the people that applied, out of all of them, I again would have also picked Ethan Balzer, as he has.
I would remind you we're talking about this nominee and no other.
All right, sorry about that. I would like to see someone who has had experience in this position. Also, knowing that this is the first time for our nominee to join SGA and going for the cabinet position, I don't feel comfortable seeing that for the treasurer position, as I was on the Budget and Finance Committee myself, and I was there for a semester, and I saw things that I was still confused about, but the treasurer always helped me clear that up. If I had any issues, that was the treasurer's job to understand what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And unfortunately, I believe because of my biases, I will be voting against it.
Senator Zacharias.
Just a point of information. When does Treasurer Yang's transition end? Like, when do you stop helping?
End of May. Right. Gabe?
It's the middle of June. We extended it, so it's a month and a half.
That's right.
Nice try, though.
Sorry, another point of information. So will, if this person were to be appointed, would he or former Treasurer Yang be the one in charge of the summer allocation process, like overseeing that?
That would be him. That would be the current. Mm-hmm. Right. So it involves part of the transition period, so there will be some dealings with both. However, the one that would be ultimately responsible would be the one that we appoint. Right? Yeah.
Could you repeat the answer? I didn't quite hear it. The one that you appoint?
Okay, so the summer funding process, because my transition period is so long, there's a chance that I'll still be in office whenever we send out that first set of emails from applicants. So it'll be kind of like a joint effort. It'll be me teaching the treasurer, this is how you do it, and then I'll probably send the email together with the next treasurer. But after that, after June, if there are any more applicants, then it will be the next treasurer that takes over.
Senator Ritchie?
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So could you inform us of the protocol if no nominee gets appointed treasurer for the 60-second session?
Right. So if you're talking specifically for this one, if it doesn't pass, there would be no one else, and it would just roll right into an open position, and there would be able to submit for. And an interim may or may not be appointed in the meantime. Senator Gibson?
Okay, going back to debating. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote against this. I would feel more comfortable if we had someone in this position who at least had a little bit of experience in SGA as a whole, any part of it. So, yeah.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Webb?
Again, I would like to kind of sympathize with everyone who is kind of having a hard time with the nominee's no experience. But I'd just like to direct us to the example of the 61st 60th sessions. Vice President Breck Towner, he had never been involved in SGA whatsoever before, and he did a terrific job. So I think that with the right training, which I think Treasurer Yang is very capable of, I think this nominee can rise to the occasion and perform to our expectations.
Senator Madden.
After hearing all the senators who have spoken in debate so far, I think my opinion has been swayed, and I will be voting in favor of this bill. I think that while I do have concerns, I think a lot of those concerns have been sort of like reassured. I think the senators who have spoken in favor of this bill have made a good case, and I think I've come around to agreeing with them that the training period, the training that still can offer, and just the ability of this particular individual to learn and be prepared for this situation will be enough to prepare them for the challenges that they face. They'll have an entire month-and-a-half transition period and the whole summer. And this individual has a lot of other qualifications as well that make them very fit for the role. And it seems to me that perhaps any of the arguments that we had, I certainly sympathize with the arguments in opposition, because I too sort of hoped that Senator Balzer would be selected. However, I think it's important to check our biases and recognize when there's a situation where it's one thing if something didn't turn out how maybe we wanted it to, and it's another thing to go up against a qualified nominee simply because it's not the person who we would have picked. So for that reason, I'll be voting in favor.
In the interest of time, I'll hear one more if there is. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate at this time? Senator Zacharias.
I'm unfortunately going to be voting no, simply because I keep thinking about how this position is a paid position, and I would really like to see someone with more experience being put into this, and I can't. I've been listening, and I feel like he's an amazing person, and he'd do a terrific job. However, I'm unfortunately going to be saying no.
With that, we will move into the voting period. All those in favor?
Point of order. You'd have to actually motion to previous question, because you can't just like end debate on your own whims. So if there are senators who do wish to speak in debate, unless you motion to previous question, they are still allowed to speak.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Senator Webb, you've already debated twice. You cannot debate again.
Can I make a motion?
Point of order. We don't have any rule that says that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can close debate, you just have to ask if there's any objections. So you can say that this is going to be the last person speaking. Are there no objections? And then if there's any objections, then you would go into more debate.
All right. Senator Webb.
With a motion, I motion to call to the previous question, or move to the previous question.
Second.
Seeing a second. I do believe this one is not debatable. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So we will move straight into voting. All in favor on this motion to end debate? To end debate. I said that. All opposed? With that, we will close debate and move into the voting period. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Hold them high. We will need to count. All opposed? Thank you. Covered up my stuff. SB-62-007 passes with majority consent.
Point of information, can I ask what the vote was, what the split was?
Yes, so that was 14 in favor and 8 against. Sorry, I forgot to mention it. We'll now move into item H, SB-62-008, appointing the position of Director of Public Relations. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So during the interview with McKinsey, the first thing that I realized is how kind and bubbly McKinsey is. She's got a great personality, and I think that would be perfect for the Director of Public Relations. She also demonstrated a love of WSU through her interview. Her work at her current job will translate well into the position of Director of Public Relations, and her drive to serve the students of Wichita State was seen during her interview and through her work with the Elections Commission.
Does the nominee wish to speak to this bill?
So I know that we're not currently talking about the treasurer thing, but we might want to double check on the vote. Treasurer needs a 2/3 nomination of the whole Senate, not just a majority vote. If there was only 14 in favor, that's not even 2/3 of the members present.
So numbers present, 2/3 majority vote is 13.
It's 2/3 of the entire Senate?
Of the entire Senate is 18.
That is excluding vacant seats. Vacant seats don't go into quorum, because there'd be no one to fill those seats. Correct?
Is the count in your spreadsheet should just be the number of people in the entire Senate though, right?
Yes, which would
So-
be 18. So that would be a fail.
So the bill would fail per the vote.
He's saying 2/3 of the entire. There are 27 total. Not in attendance, total. In attendance is 19. As such, fail. Gabe? All right. If there are no objections, we'll take a recess to confirm.
What's the length of the recess?
5 minutes.
wait, so you have to wait for 42.
Senators, you have 1 more minute. Yes. As soon as Stella gets here. All right. All right. Coming back in off the recess, we will begin again. After confirming with the journal, it is by 2/3 of the entire Senate, excluding vacant seats. With that, to ensure that our numbers are correct, we will take a roll call vote. So with that, when I call your name, it is either yes or no. You may pass once, but we'll come back to you, but then you will have to give another answer at that time.
Point of inquiry.
Yes.
May senators abstain on the vote, or is it just a yes or no?
That's a yes, you can abstain.
Thank you. Just asking for the benefit of the body. Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry, another point of information. May senators change their vote?
No. After it's already cast, they should not, yeah? Or they can? You can change your vote from the previous vote, but not from this vote. When you cast on this vote, you cannot take it back. Was that the question?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
So to clarify, everyone, we're scratching the vote we just took, and we're going to redo the vote to ensure that our numbers were correct. So this is as if this was your first time voting for this bill.
With that, is it Lonnie?
I abstain.
Senator Babin?
Yes.
Senator Bradley?
Yes.
Senator Brown? Is not here. Counts as an abstain. Senator Castillo?
Yes.
Senator Coates?
No.
Senator Gibson?
No.
Senator Gienta? Senator Hopper?
Yes.
Senator Khan?
No.
Senator Madden?
No.
Senator Mai?
I abstain.
Senator Martin?
No.
Senator Mattson?
Yes.
Senator Miller?
No.
Senator Morgan?
No.
Senator Navarro is not here. Senator Peter? Where'd she go? Oh. Senator Reed is not here. Senator Ritchie?
Yes.
Senator Sanchez?
No.
Tubak. Senator Tubak?
Yes.
Senator Webb?
Yes.
Senator Wright?
Yes.
Senator Yao?
Yes.
Senator Zacharias?
No.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in favor. With that, SB-62-007 does not pass with 10 in favor, 9 opposed, and 8 abstained. Moving back into SB-62-008, appointing the Director of Operations. Does the author wish to speak to this bill? What? No. Public relations.
Just go ahead and repeat it.
Okay. So, as I said previously, during the interview with Mackenzie, she is extremely kind and bubbly, and she demonstrated a love for WSU throughout her interview. Her work at her current job will translate very well into the position of Director of Public Relations. Her drive to serve the students of Wichita State was seen during her interview and also through her work with the Elections Commission.
Does the nominee wish to speak?
Hi guys, my name is Mackenzie and I'm majoring in integrated marketing. I feel as though SGA is a very underutilized resource for the student body, and I just would like to play a role in getting the name of SGA out there and helping the student body know that we are the voice for them. Thank you guys, and I'll take questions now.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Madden?
So on your application, you listed that you have current obligations. You're involved in the Public Relations, Student Society of America, Gamma Phi Beta, Barton International Group. You're a transition mentor, and you're a marketing assistant for Metal Fab Inc. Are you planning to maintain all of those obligations?
Yes, so I actually will not continue my work with Metal Fab. That is currently my main job, but I will be taking those over 20 hours that I am working there now and transferring that towards SGA. Other than that, the other obligations are mostly once a week kind of things. I kind of have my weeks lined up so that it all works out, and I think that it'll be a nice, easy transition.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Senator Zacharias?
Will this be your only job next fall?
Yes, it will. Oh, other than, I guess I am a TM, and that does take up some time, but I will be able to manage it, I think.
Senator Miller, you still have a question?
So, as Director of Public Relations, what are some of the initiatives that you would put forward to get the SGA's name out there?
I think a huge resource for us is social media, and so continuing with the work that the previous DPR has done through social media and things of that nature. I think also holding events, having more events, having more open office hours, things like that, where students can come in and ask questions, come in and meet the senators, things of that nature, I think would be very beneficial.
Senator Zacharias.
Can we hear about the work that you did with the Elections Committee?
Yeah, for sure. So I was the events commissioner for the Elections Commission, and so I kind of planned the town halls. We put them together a little bit, and they weren't as attended as we would have hoped, but I think that if I can make a difference in the position of DPR, that's where I would like to make it, is during the election and mostly getting the knowledge of events out there and things of that nature.
Senator Coates.
In your previous job, you were the social media manager. Can you tell me some of your accomplishments with that and some of the things that you did with that position?
Yeah, so my position at MetalFab is not very glamorous. We do piping and duct work, so the industry is very middle-aged man, and so it's hard to be creative in that kind of industry, but I have taken the social media and honestly bumped it a lot, because we started out with very little followers, very little likes, views, anything, and now our name and our YouTube channel is out there more. Our customers can watch these videos that I'm creating and see the graphics that I'm creating, and it's a little bit easier to digest. The information is more accessible to them when it's on their Facebook timeline, things of that nature. I think the most prominent example, I guess, is I created a campaign called Feature Friday, and so every Friday we come out with a new feature about these pipes, and it's sort of boring to you and I. However, middle-aged contractors really enjoy it, so I think that's great.
Any other questions for the nominee? Unless I forget to turn on my stuff. Seeing none, the nominee may either stay or leave for debate.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have a point of order? So, we will now move into the debating period. Is there anyone wishing to debate Senator Morton?
I believe that Mackenzie is perfectly qualified for the job, has all the technical requirements necessary, and she has quite a bit of experience under her belt. I'll be voting in favor for this bill.
Senator Zacharias.
I will also be voting in favor. At first I was wary about her numerous time commitments, but she seems to have it all together, and she's also prioritizing SGA, which I think, I also think her new ideas will really bring something to the floor for SGA.
Senator Madden.
And to add on to that a little bit as well, I think that the nominee's past experience in organizing events for the Elections Commission has probably shown her the reality of what SGA marketing and event programming looks like, and the fact that we don't get as much turnout as we would like to a lot of the time, and that not as much people know about us as we would like them to know. So I think that she has that going for her going into this role, and I think that's going to be absolutely essential in terms of working in this position. So I'll be voting in favor.
Senator Babin.
So I know Mackenzie personally, and just to kind of speak on her ability to manage things very well with her time, I have complete confidence in her ability to do everything that she's doing currently, minus her work at MetalFab, and really be able to put her time and commitment into SGA and really revamp our social media and PR-related things.
Senator Gibson.
I'll be voting in favor. Her personality came out really well during the questions, and I think that's very important for what position she's trying to go for.
Senator Morgan.
I'd also like to point out that she's a TM, so that's pretty helpful in terms of reaching the constituency, so I'm voting in favor.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. Senator Zacharias.
Motion to adopt by unanimous consensus.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, SB-62-008 is adopted by unanimous consent. Now move into item I, SB-62-009, appointing the position of graduate senator. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
So Sahiti, perfect, I got it, has made connections with graduate students over the past 2 semesters, putting her in a great position to advocate for her constituents. In her interview, she was professional, kind, and is passionate about serving her fellow graduate students.
Does the nominee wish to? Yeah, come on up. Mhm.
So hello everyone, my name is Sahiti Gata. I'm working as a graduate research assistant in biological science department in Dr. George Boswell's lab. This is my 2nd semester. I have a very passionate towards being graduate senator. I feel that being graduate senator is quite a responsible job. So as I'm a graduate student, I know what are the concerns we have and what are the issues we are facing. So past, I have been a graduate student leader for a term of 1 year at my country, India. I have stated in the application. So I have few ideas, conducting workshops which will be useful to the graduate students, giving oral and postal presentation tips, and giving tips how to present in a conference, and arranging travel grants. And I have some ideas to go to each department and talk to graduate students, what are the issues they are facing and concerns they have towards them. So I'll take questions.
Are there any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the nominee may either leave or stay for debate. We will move into debate. In period, is there anyone wishing to debate? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All those in favor? All opposed? SB-62-009 passes with majority consent. Seeing no unfinished business, we will move past this section into section 9, new business. It's the FB-62-001, request to allocate funds for summer individual funding. Does the author wish to speak to this bill?
Okay. So in the last session, well, actually, backstory to that for some of you who are new and who may not know, Student Government Association offers individual funding to individuals that want to go to different academic conferences. The budget that we have set for this year and the next fiscal year is $30,000. So applicants go apply on ShockerSync, and then it goes to the treasurer, and then the treasurer submits it to the Budget and Finance Committee, and then the Senate votes on it. One of the issues with this is that there are a lot of people traveling during the summer, but unfortunately the Senate is not here to vote on it. So last session we established a provision that would allow a summer Budget and Finance Committee to vote on which applicants could receive whatever money. And this specific bill allocates a maximum of $5,000 to be allocated during the summer for individuals. So just to clarify, what is not up for debate tonight is if we're doing summer funding or if summer funding is happening. What is up for debate tonight is, do we want $5,000 as the amount to allocate during the summer? Just to be clear. And as another tidbit of information, in case you didn't know, individuals can request up to $600 for domestic travel, and then for international travel, they can request up to $1,000. So this funding bill would allow, I think, two students to travel internationally for an academic conference, and I believe 4 students to travel domestically. Alternatively, there are a lot of different ways you could do this. 5 students to travel internationally, a few students travel domestically. I think you get the idea. But I think given the need and given the resources that we have, I believe $5,000 is the right amount to allocate during the summer.
Are there any questions for the author? Senator Zacharias.
So in the past, have you had more than those, have you needed more than $5,000 for conferences in the summer in the past?
Ideally, we would have more than $5,000. However, the thing is, we only requested $30,000 last year for this fiscal year, if that makes sense. So, given how much we've given in our auxiliary funding as well, I would love to allocate more, but our resources kind of limit that. And I think that $5,000 is a good middle ground to allow students to go, but also make sure that our funds are protected.
Senator Martin.
How competitive do you imagine the funding applicants will be, or like how many applicants will you have over the summer by your estimate?
It's difficult to say. So last year the numbers were skewed a little bit because we had people from organizations applying, but I think in the past we've seen somewhere around 10 students traveling throughout the summer. We've already had 2 applicants consistently reaching out and asking, is there anything for summer funding? How do I apply? So those 2 applicants I will definitely be getting back to, and then the other few, once we roll this idea out, I'm sure more people will apply.
Senator Wright.
Yeah, so can you just clear something up for me? I'm a little confused. So is this $5,000 coming from the $30,000 for individual allocation that we've like set aside for the upcoming year, or is this coming from the auxiliary funding account, and so it won't impact that $30,000?
So that's a great question. I should have clarified earlier. We've spent all of our $30,000 for funding. So currently we have $0 for summer funding, even if we wanted to make it happen. This money will be coming from a separate account, which is auxiliary funding. In the past, auxiliary funding is pretty much all of our rollover funds, and what we've used it for is to allow organizations to plan events and to allow student fees funded groups to plan events and travel and stuff like that, but we do have enough money in that like rollover account to allocate towards individual funding.
Senator Zacharias.
So I know for other places in the university, the fiscal year ends on June 30th and the 2020 fiscal year starts on July 1st. Is that the way that this is going to work, so that the $5,000 only applies for the needs before June 30th?
So we've spoken to financial operations about this, and what we'll be doing is encumbering $5,000 from auxiliary funds. Encumbering is just like correct me if I'm wrong, Gabriel or Nancy, encumbering is just kind of like a pretty way of saying we'll be saving the money from fiscal year 19, and it won't affect like the other money from fiscal year 20.
So it basically sets it aside, and it showed in our books that we've spent it, but it doesn't take it away at the end of our fiscal year. So our budgets operate the same way the universities does, except with our budget being able to carry forward from year to year. This will show that it was spent, but again, you haven't actually spent it yet until you actually take it off of encumbrance. But it allows that money to be pulled aside so it doesn't get swept into our overall large auxiliary fund for it.
Are there any other questions for the author? Seeing none, we will move into debate. Is there anyone wishing to debate at this time? Senator Martin.
I distinctly remember last summer there were a lot of students who were very unhappy that there wasn't summer funding, and I'm really happy to see even this amount of money allocated for summer funding. It's going to go to really good use, so I'm voting in favor.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into voting. All those in favor? All opposed? FB-62-001 passes with majority consent. Moving into item B, R-62-001, commitment to revitalize the Supreme Court. Do the authors wish to speak at this time? As they go.
Oh, I thought it was on. Whereas the Supreme Court is one of the three branches of Student Government Association, and whereas there is a need in the association for a branch of government that provides action when association law is violated or misinterpreted, provides checks and balances on other branches of the association, serves as a final appeals court for other appeals courts at the university, and resolves conflicts between differing interpretations of the journal. And whereas in the 61st session the court failed to fill those needs in a timely manner, if at all, and whereas the current language of Article 5 of the Constitution does not lend itself to the purposeful existence of the court, and whereas the culture of the association does not support the equal integration and autonomy of the three branches of government, and whereas so long as these shortcomings exist, the association will be unable to serve the student body at its full potential. Therefore, be it resolved that the 62nd Session Senate will reevaluate the structure and culture surrounding the court so that it may better fulfill its responsibilities and serve the student body, and be it further resolved that the Senate form an ad hoc committee to facilitate the legislative changes necessary to revitalize the court, and be it further resolved that all changes to the court be written and approved by the Senate by the final meeting of September 2019, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be forwarded with respect to Dr. Neil Allen, Advisor to the Supreme Court, Dr. Terry Hall, Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Andy Tompkins, President of the University, and the Sunflower, the student newspaper of Wichita State University.
And so just to speak to this resolution a little bit, something that I kind of want to answer is, why are we doing this? Why are we writing this resolution, which effectively just says we're going to do something and doesn't carry any legislative weight other than that? Obviously, we're doing it for all the reasons that we stated in the whereas clauses, but also if there's something that I've learned in the past month or so, it's that some of SGA's greatest accomplishments started with a resolution, and that's something that I think that we should continue to do. An example of that is the Chakra Support Locker started with a resolution in the 58th session, and now it's this really great thing that we offer to students on campus. So this resolution tonight, it's sort of a commitment. It's a way to get the ball rolling on actual change. It's a way to give us a deadline against which to be held accountable. And we hope that you all vote in favor of this, but we also hope that you follow our lead with resolutions like this, and when you have an idea that you want to pursue, you start with a resolution that makes a commitment and holds yourself accountable, so that way you're making similar resolutions. With this resolution, it's sort of our way of saying that, the 60-second session is here to work. We're here to get things done. And with that being said, I'm open to any questions.
Are there any questions for the authors? Senator Miller.
What are some things that you see that you want to change about the Supreme Court to make it more efficient?
Well, just thinking off the top of my head, one of the biggest things is we need to give the Supreme Court more to do so that they have more to do on a weekly basis, and that they're never going to have months of time where they just have nothing to do, because that's a good way for them to fall off the map. But speaking of them falling off the map, I want them to feel like they're a part of SGA. I want them to be present in maybe these meetings, maybe not these meetings, maybe they're present in the SGA office in some other way. The specifics I'm not really sure of. That's why we want to form a committee. We want to get you all in the room with us over the course of the summer. Anyone who can, you're welcome to reach out to me, talk to me, contact me, and we're going to work on this, and we're going to figure out what our plan is. And the idea is after the Senate talks about it and comes up with their ideas, then, we talk to other people too. We talk to Neil Allen, who's the advisor of the Supreme Court. We talk to the advisors and to the cabinet and see what they think. This should be a collective effort from all of the association. So there's definitely a lot of discussion to be had on the specifics of what this change is going to look like.
Are there any other questions for the authors?
we're not forming like an official committee. It's just kind of an unofficial thing.
Seeing none, thank you. We will move into debate on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate on this bill? Senator Miller.
So, some of you may not know, I actually served in the 61st Sessions Supreme Court, so I can actually kind of stand a little bit behind this. As far as being a part of the Supreme Court, it did feel kind of disconnected from this, the student government. So, with that being said, I do think that this does have a lot of backbone to it, and I urge you all to vote in favor of this bill so that we can provide some change to the current student government Supreme Court.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we will move into the voting period. All those in favor? All opposed? R-62-001 passes with majority consent. Moving into item C, R-62-002, increasing educational materials on Wichita State's tobacco-free campus policy. Do the authors wish to speak at this time?
Hello there. This one was sent out later because mishaps that happen. Life happens again. Anyway, I'm not sure if you guys have had the opportunity to read it, but here I go. Whereas on July 1st, 2017, the university's tobacco-free campus policy was put into effect to provide guidance concerning tobacco use in and around campus grounds and buildings. And whereas the tobacco-free campus policy was created as a commitment to provide tobacco-free environment for the health, well-being, and safety of university students, employees, and visitors. And whereas, despite the enactment of the policy, a lack of heightened awareness about the policy has led to violations made by students, contractors, visitors, and employees of the university. And whereas the violations of this policy have put the health and well-being of others, especially those residing in on-campus housing, into question. And whereas varying views and cultural differences around the acceptance of tobacco and/or nicotine use are not addressed on WSU's campus. And whereas the tobacco-free Wu and Me student organization has disbanded, leaving no current organization that pushes educational material about tobacco and nicotine use. Therefore, be it resolved that the 62nd session request from the office of Dr. Richard Muma, WSU's provost and the university's chief academic officer, that regulations, definitions, and responsibilities of the tobacco policy be required in class syllabi, and be it further resolved that the Senate request from the office of Darren Boatwright, Director of Athletics, that regulations, definitions, and responsibilities of the tobacco policy be included on the back of sporting event tickets, and be it further resolved that the Senate request from the office of Emily Patterson, Executive Director of Facilities Planning, that larger visible signs on which Wichita State's stance on tobacco and nicotine use be added in parking areas, and be it further resolved that the Senate request from the office of Scott Jensen, Executive Director of Student Life, that signage regarding the regulations for the tobacco policy be increased around campus, especially housing for both incoming, domestic, and international students. And be it further resolved that the Senate request from Gabriel Fonseca, Assistant Director of Student Involvement, to ensure regulations, definitions, and responsibilities of the tobacco-free campus policy be put in the nuts and bolt conferences. And be it further resolved that the office of Susan Martin, Director of Human Resources, Operations, and Systems, holds staff and faculty who violate the tobacco policy on campus responsible by holding educational discussions over tobacco and nicotine use on campus for staff and faculty
who violate the university's tobacco policy. And be it further resolved that this resolution be forwarded to a bunch of people. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm like shaking. This is my first ledge, guys. Also, amendments happen during debate, correct? Okay. I will take questions.
Are there any questions for the author? Seeing none, we will move into debate.
I know that was a lot, guys.
Point of information, Susan Martin, Judy Espinoza is actually the Director of Human Resources, so I would maybe put that as a friendly, well, I'll put that out there. That Judy Espinoza is actually the Director of HR.
Can I motion to amend my own stuff?
Yes.
I motion to make an amendment and scratch Susan Martin, who is in the directory of the campus, to that current person.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing that, we will move into voting on this motion.
I also have, sorry, due to my own shortcomings, I thought we had more meetings this semester. So I'd also like to make a motion to add, before the forwarding resolution, that it be it further resolved that we will create an informal ad hoc committee to facilitate these changes requested in the resolution.
Second.
With that, I will say one motion at a time. So moving back to the motion at hand.
With a motion?
It will be a debate.
Motion to adopt the currently proposed amendment by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Motion carries. You want to remake your?
Yes. Motion to add before the final, be it further resolved that the, I should say a number, sorry, one moment. Line 37, be it further resolved that this resolution, sorry, that's incorrect. Be it further resolved that the Senate form an informal ad hoc committee to facilitate the requests made in this resolution.
I believe what she's doing is creating, like, go to the end of line 36 and create a new be it further resolved block.
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
Be it further resolved that the Senate form an ad hoc committee to facilitate the requests made in this resolution.
I will fix it. Hold on. In this resolution?
Is that how you want? Is there a second? Seeing a second. What? Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay, so my advice, since this came out of Safety and Student Services last year, I would recommend that instead of forming a new ad hoc, that you direct that committee when they return into session to address these issues, or to hope to be able to address these things this summer. Because I think I would caution to say creating an ad hoc, if you're not going to have people over the summer do it, would then do nothing, or just wait until Safety and Student Services reconvenes in the fall and directs the committee to address this resolution. I guess my question is, what is the, yes, I have speaking rights. What is the point, what is the hope you're trying to achieve? Is it to be over the summer, or to direct the full committee to address it?
Over the summer.
Okay. Second thing to that I would make sure that you actually have people who are going to do it. Got it.
We are moving into debate on the motion. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate on the motion at hand? Senator Zacharias.
I just want to make a clarification for everyone. I didn't have the confirmation from everyone that this ad hoc committee could be possible over the summer until just before Senate. So that's why I didn't include it beforehand. Sorry.
Are there any other individuals wishing to speak in debate? Senator Khan?
I'm speaking in favor of this bill because I think this is a very good starting point for us to start addressing the issue on campus. And I'm actually the sponsor for this bill as well, and I see great potential from starting on this resolution now rather than later.
Are there any other individuals wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none. Oh, Gabe's got something. Nancy?
Another point of information, Scott Jensen's title is incorrect. He is currently now the Associate Dean of Students.
Point of order, can we vote on the current amendment and then go to that?
Yes. But that is not a point of order. But that is what is happening. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Moving into the voting of the proposed amendment. All in favor? All opposed? Motion is adopted as such. You want to propose that one?
Motion to amend the bill to change the title that Nancy mentioned about.
Can I also make another point of information? So Scott works with housing, but so where it says around campus, Scott doesn't deal with around campus, he deals with housing. So if there's something around campus, but I maybe would look at that part, either taking it out or having someone else who is around campus.
So, moving into debate on Senator Madden's motion. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate?
With a motion to adopt by unanimous consensus.
Any objections? Motion is adopted as such.
Susan Martin's needs to be changed. Yeah, okay.
I would entertain a motion to include Nancy's suggestion about around campus. Senator Zacharias.
Motion to strike on line 28 the words around, through, especially.
Do we have a second?
Line words around campus and especially, those three words, strike them.
You need to add it in.
Yes.
In.
Is that
housing.
how you would like it?
I think we need to put the word around back.
Works.
There was a second, so we'll move into debate on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate on this motion?
With a motion to adopt by unanimous consensus.
Is there objection? Motion is adopted as such. Moving back to the bill, is there anyone wishing to speak in debate on the main bill?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes, Senator Webb.
Could you specify like what exactly we're voting on with all the things that people are making? It's getting a little bit confusing, so if you could just clarify, that would be very helpful.
Will do. Senator Zacharias.
I feel I could answer that better than you. We're just trying to increase I'm sorry, I mean that in the nicest way. I love you, Michael Berth. as the author of this,
I'm sorry, we're in the debate period, and that was not a question. That was just asking me to clarify at each stage. So, thank you. At this time, we are debating on the entire bill as it is. Is there anyone wishing to speak in debate? Senator Madden.
Okay, so I will be speaking in favor of this bill. I think that this bill is really well written. As Chief of Operations, I have seen this bill through multiple iterations of its development, and this one is just like really clean. Like it's good. And a lot of the be it further resolved clauses are, well, just be it resolved clauses. They're like really solid. They speak to like hard demands that I think will actually make progress on this issue. I think that this resolution does a good job of addressing an issue of the fact that the tobacco-free campus policy was something that was sort of started and marketed and then just kind of dropped off in a lot of ways. And there hasn't been a whole lot of follow-up, and this resolution is delivering and demanding that follow-up, and I think that's really powerful, and I think that's something that's going to impact a lot of students on this campus. The resolution that Andrew and I wrote, it's really great. I'm excited about it, but it's a resolution that's mostly dealing with internal things, and this resolution that we're debating on right now is a resolution dealing with actual change that affects students on campus, and that's really good, and I'm excited to see it, and I'm definitely voting in favor.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we'll move into the voting period. All in favor? All opposed? R-62-002 passes with majority consent. With that, we will move into Section 10, swearing in. If I can get all of these senators that were confirmed tonight to come up to the podium, we'll get you sworn in. Over here, that way. I got a fancy cheat sheet that you guys can glance at if you get stuck. All right, and raise your hand, repeat after me. Right hand. I hereby swear that I will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University.
I hereby swear that I will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University.
Act in accordance with the Student Government Association Constitution.
Act in accordance with the Student Government Association Constitution.
And fulfill all duties and responsibilities. Required of the office of Student Senator.
Required of the office of Student Senator.
I will, to the best of my ability.
I will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the Student Government Association of Wichita State University.
The Constitution of the Student Government Association of Wichita State University.
Congratulations. We got the other. Now we have the Director of Public Relations, if you can come up here. Raise your right hand. So I hereby swear that I will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University.
I hereby swear that I will faithfully serve the students of Wichita State University.
Act in accordance with the Student Government Association Constitution.
Act in accordance with the Student Government Association Constitution.
And fulfill all duties and responsibilities.
And fulfill all duties and responsibilities.
Required of the Office of Director of Public Relations.
Required of the Office of Director of Public Relations.
I will, to the best of my ability.
I will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
the Constitution of the Student Government Association of Wichita State University.
The Constitution of the Student Government Association of Wichita State University.
With that, we will move into section 11. Remarks and announcements. Senator Madden.
All right, everyone, specifically the senators, both the current senators who are here in the meeting today, but also the ones who just got appointed. This is a really long meeting. I think that's a good thing, even though it was a lot. It's good that we're working, it's good that we're doing things, and I hope that we keep this up. But also, this is the last meeting of the semester. I think that there's still a lot of work that we can do over the summer, and also I want to be able to get in contact with you all when the fall semester starts too. So, if you haven't been added to the Senate group chat, you should come talk to me so that I can add you so that we can all collaborate. That way we can get you in contact with anybody if you want to work on stuff or learn stuff, or if you want to join any of the ad hoc committees. The group chat's going to be the best way to make that work. So come talk to me after the meeting and we can get that figured out.
Any other remarks and announcements? Nancy?
So a couple things. So next Thursday, May 9th, I think it's May 9th, they are having a celebration of life for President John Bardo. You are all invited to a student picnic from 11 to 1 p.m. at his residence, at the president's residence, so it'll be outside. So there will be a rain location, so if you can make it, it is a come and go. If you can make it, if you would, we just created a Facebook group, so as we get people added to that, I'll post the flyer for it in there, because they really want people to RSVP so they have an idea of how many people, but I would encourage you as new senators to represent your student body and to be there, because they're not just inviting anyone, they're inviting certain student leaders. And so that's next Thursday, 11 to 1 at the president's residence. So please come on by and RSVP.
President Miller.
So that group chat that Senator Madden was discussing, that's not the official SGA group chat. That is a different group chat. You all are more than welcome to use that group chat. However, the Facebook page, and once we figure out where we want to have that group chat, will be the official group chat, and that will be something that the next chief of operations will manage. So once I figure out what that is, since we do not have a chief of operations right now, I will let you all know. We will post that on the Facebook page, and I will share that next meeting again, and if I see you around, I will also let you know. So.
Any other remarks and announcements? Senator Wright. Gabe, you want to take it?
So Matt gave it away earlier. It was going to be a surprise. But as you remember earlier, Senator Madden did talk that we did get a response from the Prime Minister of New Zealand, or from the Office of the Prime Minister of New Zealand. So we took it upon ourselves to frame the letter back from the Prime Minister's office to give one to both Senator Khan and Senator Mounts. So if you please can both come up here and we'll give you your letter framed. It does say Matt's name on it because he's the one who sent the letter, but we know it came from you too. And yes. While they're doing that, this is just to show the importance of kind of the work that you all can do, not just here in Wichita State, not just in Kansas, because we did have some resolution to the governor's office, but also clearly internationally. So do keep up the good work that we are going to do in the next session. Thank you.
Any other remarks and announcements? Treasury Gang.
Okay, so I know that some of you may be new to remarks and announcements, but it's a time for us to plug our events that are happening in our other groups, just in case anyone wants to know what's going on or if anyone wants to go. So I'm going to plug my event. Asian Student Conference is hosting Assembly, and it's happening this Friday at 6 o'clock. If you need more information, add me on Facebook or look on the Facebook event page. Assembly is just like a variety talent show. There's dancing, there's singing, there's strolling, there's a lot going on. There's even a magic show, which we've never done before. So if anyone is interested in tickets, they're $7 this Friday. Our own Mr. Gabriel Fonseca will actually be a judge for the event, and there are cash prizes. So I hope to see some of you there. Next, more importantly, the Summer Budget and Finance Committee is a real thing, and I do need people on it. I need a minimum of 3 senators. So if we do not get a minimum of 3 senators to raise their hands in 5 seconds, individuals will not be getting funding, and it is crucial that they receive the funding that SGA can give them. So do I have any volunteers? Wow. Okay, so how about I take your names later, and then after we're all done, you can approach me and I can write down your emails or something and get your contact information. And just so everyone else knows, to keep these senators accountable. Is that the right? Yeah, that's the right word, to keep them accountable. Any senators that do not respond throughout the summer after 24 hours, 48 hours, some given time limit, they will be counted as abstentions. So just to let you all know, make sure that you're reminding your fellow senators, if you're not on this committee, to look through the applications and to vote. Thank you.
Are there any other remarks and announcements?
Were we able to speak about personal events, like you said?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to invite everybody, if you're not busy, Saturday night, I believe around 7:30 at the Century 2 Performing Arts Center. I'll be performing with the Wichita Symphony Orchestra. We're playing music of Star Wars, so it's gonna be wicked. So come on out, everyone. If you're not busy, that'd be cool to see you. Students get a great discount at the Symphony, by the way. How much? $10. So, thank you.
Right. Technically, you're not part of this session yet, so you can't speak.
Just got appointed. Oh, is that a joke? She's got one.
Yes.
That was a joke?
Yes.
Oh, that was just
True.
A joke. He was, okay.
Sorry.
So serious.
Are there any other remarks and announcements? Seeing none, I have one of my own, and it's regarding, believe it or not, senator hours. So you should have received an invitation from Gabriel Fonseca to join the Shocker Sync group. If you have not done so, I highly recommend doing so. Otherwise, you will not be able to submit your senator hours, and then you will be penalized later on for not doing so. So those are due, was it tonight? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll be lenient.
As this is our first, and technically only a week for you guys to actually do anything, there will be some leniency in that. Yeah. Senator Gibson.
I just had a question about that. Okay, so that doesn't go for over the summer, right? So when's the last day that we have to turn in senator hours? Does it start next
So
year?
you have the hours today that I'm lenient on, and then you'll pick them up again in the fall. Senator Khan.
Just to be sure. So if I don't turn in my senator hours, I will not be in trouble.
I know you've done stuff, so yes, you will be in trouble.
But I already put my laptop up.
Senator Webb?
Just for the newer people, could you explain what senator hours entail?
Right, so senator hours can include a multitude of things. Typically, it is meeting with your constituents over legislation such as what we had tonight, going to them and getting their feedback on certain things. It can also entail volunteer work, both within and without of the association itself. committee work does entail a bit of that. However, committees haven't been formed yet, so that's not an option at this point, but in the future that will be an option. I think that's everything. I got the head nod, so that's everything. Any other remarks and announcements? I need that. With that, I hereby close the first meeting with a silent roll call at 8:41 p.m.
Maybe I'm a minute forward.
What? Are you 42?
Yeah.
I'm 41?
I've been consistently a minute forward, so I'm like, are we starting meeting at 6:30?
Sorry about that.
You want to turn it off real quick? Senators, before you leave, if you wanted to be on the Summer Budget and Finance Committee, please approach me up here. Thank you. Before you leave, please.